How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Liberty Hour, streaming through Spreaker Studio, the 16 Jackson AJ1 Twitter account, and the A2 Jack YouTube channel. Had a little bit of a break, but I'm glad that we are back on here. I'm here with my friend Kendrick Haskins, and the last thing we were talking about was college and the cost of college and what can be done to alleviate that. And basically what I brought up is that what they can at least do is if they're going to charge the high amount cost for students to go to college, they can at least hire more teachers to teach classes that are only offered at like one time to make it more flexible with people's schedules, and also just have it more efficient to where you can either take online classes as well or have more people there and more resources to help people get through in 4 years in a much more shorter amount of time. I don't know what your thought is on that, but I'll go ahead and let you respond to that, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah, one thing I think I would say, I think the rough statistic for at least for music majors at APU is like half of the people don't graduate in 4 years, and that's probably at least partially because for music there's just a lot of units as compared to like I don't know a psychology major. I think it's music and nursing are two of the most difficult majors at that school. And then just one more little thing, someone who I think was at Cal Poly, I want to say, maybe that's not it, but one of those schools that's got like a good deal more students than APU is. They've definitely complained a lot about how like classes have been impacted and they can't take classes they need because like they fill up too fast and then no one can teach it, and so like they have to just like wait to graduate because they literally can't take the classes in the order that they're supposed to. So it's an issue.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. I mean, obviously the cost of college is huge. I just feel like that, it would still be a big issue if there were more efficient ways to get people through in a shorter amount of time, whether that be online classes as we see technology, increasing and improving. The online, amount of people taking online classes has gone up as well. And I feel like if there were more resources put towards stuff like that, it would be more helpful to get people through in a shorter amount of time, and we would see less high amounts of debt for people leaving college once they graduate. That's just my thoughts on that. Speaking of school, another thing I wanted to go over with you relating to, Azusa or school in general is, since you're graduating 2020 next year, I'm graduating 2020 next year, I wanted to ask you, what are your initial plans, or do you have any initial plans after graduation? And if so, what have you thought about that you're going to do right out of school?
Yeah, if you'd asked me that a year ago, I'd probably say just hang around in SoCal and do my best to find work, get some roommates together, find a place to live, and then just try to make it out there. And for the most part, that part is going to remain the same. I'd been considering grad school, but I hadn't put a ton of thought into it because I was like, oh, it's just 2 more years of school, more stuff to pay for, probably more loans. But at least in the music realm, I've talked to multiple teachers now who have told me that pretty much every music grad student should not have to pay for grad school because they should get scholarships that pretty much pay for the whole thing. That one gig that I filled in for the rehearsal for that musical, I was sight reading some drum music, and during the break I was talking to this guy who is a trumpet player. He's a teacher, and we were talking about grad because I was asking some questions, and he basically told me, well, two things. He's said one, the way that you play, you shouldn't have to pay for grad school for sure, because he was saying that I was doing pretty well. But he also just mentioned he knew a few terrible trombone players who also hardly had to pay anything for grad school, and so if they can get it for free, obviously I can get it for free. And it's only 2 years. It's not as many units. You can, continue to work on your own music career more so during grad school than you can during undergrad because you just have more time during grad school. So definitely going to be doing that right out of undergrad.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, yeah, definitely, good luck on that, and hopefully all that goes well for you. In terms of my case, what I would say is, I showed Kendrick this too. there's a part of me that's like the plankton meme from SpongeBob, where it's like, I don't know, I never thought I'd get this far, but nah. On the real though, I mean, I'm already doing a lot of stuff with Gold Country Media and writing for the Lincoln paper in town. I plan on continuing that for a bit, and then I am much more interested in the communication realm of things and the broadcasting. So my goal is to my goal is to try to find an outlet to get that done, and hopefully I can do so. And start with an internship or something like that, and then go from there. One of the other questions though related to that I was going to ask you is, if you go into grad school, or if you don't go into grad school, especially if you don't go into grad school, do you have any initial thoughts of where you plan to live? Are you going to be trying to stay in the Lincoln area? Are you going to be trying to stay down there closer to Azusa and Southern Cal for your music stuff? Have you put any thought into that at all by any chance?
Yeah, for sure. At least initially, I'd be staying in the SoCal area just because there's just so much more of a music scene down there. And specifically, one of the main dream jobs I'm really striving for right now is, writing music for games. I don't think I mentioned it yet, but one of the things I'm doing next semester is there's a new video game major at APU, and I talked with the guy who's starting that up, and I'm going to be offering my services as a composer to his students, so I can write for their games. I've also been starting a little bit of a music library for them over the summer, and a little bit during the school year. That's music that whoever can use. And SoCal is the place to do that. At least if we're talking about in California. So definitely in SoCal somewhere.
Well, that's awesome. That sounds great. Definitely, good luck on that. Send me some of that stuff, because that sounds like you're pretty much helping start up a new program. So that's awesome. Congratulations on that. The next thing I wanted to get into is, I'm going to play one of your songs here real quick. I'm going to play Dots for everybody who hasn't heard of your music yet. But I wanted to talk about too, once we play this, since your music goes through Spotify, it's up there on iTunes for people to purchase. Basically, how you get paid for that, and if there's any contracts you have to sign, or how you get reimbursed for your music. Basically, who gets the payment for when it comes to the music through iTunes and Spotify. But before we do that, this is Dots by A Pale Umbra, and everybody take a look at take a listen in. Oh, what the heck? It played a completely random song. I apologize, everybody. Give me 1 sec to reload this page, and we will, we'll have this played. All right, there we go. Perfect. This is Dots.
How they keep it so nice and clean, how it should We scared all the lights away. What a shame. Not like we don't know who are the ones to blame.
All right, that was Dots by A Pale Umbra, and like I said, my favorite part of that song too is when it transitions kind of into the more mellow part and it goes from there. I really like that though. That's some really great work. Obviously, the other three songs you have on the EP, great as well. That's personally though my favorite one, I have to say. But that gets into the conversation I wanted to have is your music is out there on Spotify for people to listen to. It's also out there on iTunes for people to purchase, and I wanted to ask you, because I figured, obviously you probably know about this, is how do you as musicians basically get the money that people pay for your songs and for your music? I'm sure that, some funds go to other places and stuff, but explain to me basically how that process works of you getting paid through these other outlets.
Well, this is probably going to sound like an ad for DistroKid, but I use DistroKid, which is, as the name would imply, it's a website that makes it really easy to distribute your music to, the main outlets for it, as well as like 50 billion other outlets that no one's ever heard of. So it was pretty easy. You sign up for an account, you pay like a monthly fee for it. If you compare it to other places, because TuneCore is one of them, and I think CD Baby. The thing about DistroKid is you pay a set amount each month, and you can put out however many singles or EPs, albums, whatever you want. That doesn't affect your price, so the price always stays the same. So you pretty much just you put in all the information for the EP. You put in a high quality image that is within certain dimensions for the album cover. You specify which distributors or where you want it to be distributed. Obviously the main ones being Spotify and Apple Music. It's on iTunes as well, and a bunch of other places that not many people have heard of. But that's pretty much it. You do that, and then every once in a while, DistroKid will be like, "All right, here's the 3 cents that you made."
You talked about the album cover too. That's another thing I want to actually ask you. Was it who in the group designed the album cover? Was it everyone? Was it just you? Was it you and Simon? Explain me who came up with the idea of the album cover, and tell me a little bit about that.
It's kind of like the album cover. It really only exists because again, the main guy who was the connection for the whole recording process, the person who was the brother of one of my girlfriend's friends. That's the connection, right? So that guy, for his, they were doing the recording the album as a senior project, and of course they needed some artwork for it. And so he whipped something up really quickly. He sent me, I think, maybe 1 or 2 rough drafts on it. I was like, hey, maybe, tweak this a little bit, or maybe do a little bit something with this. I think that's how it went down. If it wasn't with him, I commissioned someone else to do a little bit of work on it, to make it the right size, but also to do a little bit of work on the coloring, a little bit of work on the font as well. So basically, to answer your question, the guy who did it was, I guess you could say, the head of the recording and the production group. That was the group we were working with, who were from the other college.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Oh, that's awesome. I actually have to end this part real quick. So this is going to be the end of part 5. We'll be right back to finish things up here in part 6 of the Liberty Hour. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be right back.